Villagers are scattered throughout the landscape, both in the real world and in Minecraft. They have taken on many variations over the years too. But today, Millie and I will be setting out to build a medieval village in Minecraft, complete with a church, houses, and a sturdy wall. Let's see what kind of enchanting town we can create. Day ones always feel like a Saturday morning to me. There's limitless possibilities and absolutely nothing has gone wrong yet. If I wanted to, I could just spend the whole day frolicking in these meadows, but alas, this is 100 days and we have to get some tools, some food, and a bed. So let's get some wood from one of these funky trees. I'm pretty sure this is pine wood from the meadow mod. It is. It's pine log. Okay, we've got our wooden pickaxe and I need to get some stone. Unfortunately, Millie has picked up our crafting table, so I think we're going to have to craft another one because I have no idea when she's going to drop that thing. Oh, that's not stone. That is limestone. Okay, I can still use that for a pickaxe though, so it's fine. All right, tools acquired. Now for some food and a bed, which I can get from sheep. Let's take from you. Let's take from you. And there we, oh, is that a sheep? I can't really tell. I'm gonna have to get closer. It could be a fluffy cow. Oh, no, it's definitely a sheep. Now let's grab some of these flowers so we can dye the wool all the same color. And we have a bed. And as lovely as this area is, I feel like it's going to involve a lot of clearing if we decide to build here. So I'm just going to go on a little wander and try and find another area. Okay, not as many flowers, but definitely less clearing to happen. I think this area might be perfect. So let's get our initial setup over here out the way, and then we can start on collecting materials for our medieval village. Oh, and I should probably take some of those for a chest. I started out by gathering everything I needed for iron armor, tools, and lanterns. Then I worked on collecting wood, specifically spruce, oak, and pine. I grabbed some stone and some diorite, and then spent a bunch of time messing around trying to find a bunch of Farmer's Delight vegetables before calling it good and heading back. Usually I try and build my house first as a rule anyway, but I like to do this especially when building a village because that way, if it ends up looking a bit bad, it's only my house and no one really has to worry about it. But it also helps me get a sense of style of building that I want to stick with through the rest of the video. Anyways, enough of me talking about that. Let's get this frame and foundation finished. Millie, I need you to stop doing that. So let's go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, I have to avoid Millie being in my way. That was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Millie, oh my goodness. If I can't get this done, it's definitely Millie's fault. And now let's build up a second layer of this. Then on these parts here, let's create an archway. Next up, I'm gonna add a second layer to this side. Hopefully Millie doesn't steal any of my blocks. And now let's bring this one in and then do another circle around the edge on this level. Now we just need to dig out this dirt right here and then fill it in with our little tiny, I think they're cobblestone bricks. Yeah, cobblestone bricks. Okay, now that's dug out. Let's get that filled in. And let's also fill in this side. And those are our foundations finished. So now let's get to work on the frame. I'm gonna do an oak log here, then go 1, 2, 3, and then add another oak log, and then strip our spruce. So let's do that on each corner, and then 1, 2, 3 in the middle. I've decided to be, I guess, smart this time and place some water in the middle because that way I can just very easily jump down into the water and not worry about breaking my ankles as usual. Ah! I forgot I had the water. Oh, and I forgot again. Do I have short-term memory loss? What's going on? Alright, now we have our posts in. Let's join them up with our spruce wood. And of course, let's strip it all. Now we're going to bring the foundation out over here because this is also going to be the inside of the house. Millie, please move out the way. Thank you. Nope. Okay, she's back. Alright, let's strip this spruce. Then let's go up 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you for coming along to my counting lesson. I hope you enjoy. Okay, it's looking a little bit strange right now, but that sun is going down fast, so let's head to bed before anything scary spawns. Okay, so the frame and everything went smoothly yesterday, and I think we should be able to get the walls and the roof done today. What do you think, Mills? What do you have in your mouth? Oh, a stone brick, of course. So up here, I'm gonna add in a few details before I actually put the walls in, just because I think it's gonna make it easier. So now those are done, let's just add in a little mix of these two types of diorite bricks, just for a little bit of texture. And then along the top here, I'm gonna do upside down stairs. And now let's do the same on the other side. I'm gonna do the same kind of thing over here by adding some of the wall details first, because I feel like that was actually much easier. I don't know what to do in that gap. Probably have one facing outwards, so I will have to do that one from the outside. Now let's add in some upside down stairs on these bits. Ooh, how do I do that one? I think facing forward is going to make the most sense, so then when we're looking at the house from the front, it looks normal. Let's also add in some stairs under here, and then we can get to work filling in the walls on the top floor. Again, I'm just using a mix of these diorite bricks for a little bit of texture. They're not too different, to be honest, but I feel like they add enough to make it look a little bit more interesting than just one flat block constantly. You see, the texture is super subtle, but it does make a difference. Over on this side, we're gonna go for more of like a tower thing. So let's just build up here, make sure to remove that so I don't forget, and then let's build up I think 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and now let's just break the ankles, and I can just run around and do this as I would normally build a wall now, because I've already made the marker of 8 tall. Okay, sweet, that's our tower built up. Now let's add in some wooden details. So I'm gonna add in some upside down stairs on each side, and then in between each stair, I'm gonna do trapdoors. Oh, you know what? I don't need them in these corners. All right, we're looking good so far. Let's get started on these roofs, and I'm gonna start with this middle piece here, and we're gonna use a mix of, when I get up there, we're gonna use a mix of pine stairs and spruce stairs. I just feel like the two warm tones together look really good. And I feel like I don't use this pine wood enough, so I'm glad that I'm using it for this one. All right, that's all of our pine place. Now let's fill this in with some spruce, and that should be the roof of this one finished. All right, that is all of our roofs finished. That sun is again going down super fast. Let's head to bed. Sometimes I feel like I have a really hard time getting into a build project, but this time I feel like things are moving along really quite nicely. Plus it's time to add all of the exterior details and then the interiors, which is literally my favorite part. So now we've got our windows in, let's get up here and add in some details. So I'm gonna add, when I get up there, a couple flower beds and then some spruce fences just going down here like that. Let's go down a few blocks, add in our trapdoors, and let's do the same over this side. I'm also going to add in some flower beds over here, but I'm going to do a row of trapdoors here, and then on top of there we'll do these, and then do these trapdoors right here, and then add another layer of trapdoors here. Then in between these trapdoors, I'm gonna add fences, and I feel like I just said trapdoors a million times. And then in the corner here, we can just recreate that little design, just like that. All right, so far so good. Let's add some extra details out the front here by adding in some stairs, and then another little flower pot thing right across here. Okay, that is looking super cute now. Let's get inside and get started on our interiors. We have a little tiny room right here to work with, and then we have this room, which I think I'll make kind of a living room. Then we have a hallway, and then this will be our bedroom. I also have this door down here into this little room, which I think I'll use for overflow storage. So let's start with this area down here, and I'm gonna make this kind of like our kitchen. We could call it maybe a mud room, somewhere where you just come in, take your shoes, your coat off, and maybe grab a little snack or something if you really need it. Let's take out this cabinet here and add in a kitchen hood just for the vibe. And then let's add in a little bit of carpet because it is very grey down here. I'm also going to add a flower pot down here with some blue orchids, and then I have these flower boxes which I'm just going to place here and here. And then I'm going to add in some of these, one of them, one of these, and some more of those. Now it's a little bit tight here, but I do want to add in a bench and then a couple buttons, which is the coat hangers, and then just somewhere that you would sit down to take your shoes off and have a little rest before you go upstairs. Oh, I almost completely forgot I wanted to add in these trapdoors to create a sort of backsplash situation. There we go. Don't know why I struggled to say that. Okay, up here I've placed some paintings, and I'm gonna add a fireplace in here, but I don't really have space to do a proper fireplace, so I'm just gonna add in these pillar trims, and I feel like that looks good enough. Right here I'm gonna place a couple cabinets for storage and also just for like a barrier from the staircase because it is a bit weird having just a hole in the floor here. And then I'm going to add in a couple couches and then dye those green and place some of this as a rug. Now let's add a flower pot here, a lantern here. We'll add a pot in the corner and then let's add some wall detail over here because it is looking a little bit plain. Okay, I have these flower boxes and I was planning to put actual flowers in there, but I feel like it could look cool to have them just as wall details maybe, kind of like paneling. I don't know, I feel like that works. Although this is sticking out a little bit, so I'm just going to change them to this one so we've got a little bit more of a walkway here. Then I think we just need a little drawer over here with some of these on. Oh, I don't want them facing that way. There we go. Let's light that up. And I think that is our living room finished. Oh, I lied. There we go. Now our living room is finished. Definitely very simple, but very cute. And through here, we basically just have a big long hallway that leads to our little bedroom. It's super, super cute and super simple. And it is nighttime, so I think I'm gonna head to bed. And actually, just before we move on with the next thing, I forgot that I wanted to put some extra storage under here. So let's just place all of these chests so that we have a bunch of backup chests, because I didn't add a lot of storage to the house this time. All right, there we go. That works. I've added in a bunch of chests up here, and then we have a bunch down here, a bunch of furnaces, and our chipped crafting tables. Okay, so medieval villages have farms because way back in the day, their food was extremely localized. So even if I wasn't slowly starving to death, I would definitely be building a couple of these. But let's start with the wheat farm. So now that the water is down, we can get to work tilling the land. I'm going for a more free, ununiform design with this one because I feel like that fits the medieval vibe so much better. Less structured rows, more natural, lived-in farmland. I'm hoping this gives it some realistic charm, like it's been worked on and added to as needed, rather than perfectly planned out from the start. Alright, that's our tilling done, so let's get this wheat planted. Fingers crossed we have enough time left to build a little border around it afterwards. Just something simple to frame it nicely and make it feel a bit more finished. We still want it to feel super natural, nothing too fancy, just a tidy edge always makes a difference, so I really want to add one. Okay, so for the border, I've just placed a bunch of random oak logs, and I'm just going to top them off with my trapdoors, and then I'm going to run around and add in some fences. I feel like this kind of irregular border, again, it really helps the farm feel less curated and more natural. Sometimes the imperfections are what makes it feel the most real. Okay, that's looking really cute now, and we have a little bit left of the day, so I'm just going to use our trusty watering can to get myself some more food and just grow in a bunch of this wheat. The wheat farm is looking great, but for our second farm, I think we need a little bit more variation, and I've collected a bunch of Farmer's Delight veggies to mix things up a bit. So let's finish getting all of this land tilled so we can get those planted. A little color, a little variety. I feel like it's going to make the whole area just feel a bit more alive and way more balanced. And I'm again going for that more rugged, natural placement to match the vibes of the other farm. So now that's done, let's plant our crops. I've got the standard carrots and potatoes, but I also grabbed some tomato and cabbage seeds from the Farmer's Delight mod. Usually I'd place everything in tiny little rows, but I think this time we really need to commit to the chaos and just mix them all in together. I feel like it's gonna look way more fun and lively that way, and honestly, since we rarely eat anything but bread, it doesn't really matter too much. We won't have to stress about harvesting or replanting them because once it's in, it's in. So essentially this farm is just pure aesthetic farming energy only. I went ahead and watered all of our crops and I was so right. This looks so much better just all mixed in together. But now the sun is going down really fast, so I need to finish off this border. Let's add in all of our trapdoors, and then again we'll run around and add in some extra fences, and that should be our second farm done. I am so happy with how those have turned out. Especially this one. This is so cute. I feel like this wouldn't really be a farming village without a cute little farmhouse. So let's use what we have left over to get a frame down. Then we can head out for some more materials tomorrow. Okay, perfect. Since we still have quite a lot of this day left, I'm not going to waste it. I'm just going to grab a bunch of wheat to refill all of my food, and then again tomorrow we will head out for some more materials. So this farmhouse is pretty tiny, so I think we can definitely get the walls and the roof up on this today. Alright, that's those placed. Now let's add in our stairs just to fill in those gaps. And that's our walls finished. Super, super simple. Oh, now that's our walls finished. For the roof, let's place some trapdoors along here. Then in this gap, we're going to do slabs. Oh, wait, do I want to do it that low? I think I probably just want to do the one and then have the second piece higher up. Oh, actually, let's bring that out. Add a trapdoor here instead. And then I think I'm going to have to get up on the roof to do the rest of this. So let's build up these bits and then, oh my goodness. Let's bring this out, add a stair. Oh, nope, that doesn't work. Let's take this top piece off and replace those with stairs. Then we can do a little upside down stairs moment, and then we'll do slabs right across the top. Ouch. Now in between the pine stairs, I'm going to go for spruce stairs, just like we did on the house. Then to fill in these gaps, I'm going to use trapdoors. And to finish off this side of the roof, let's cover this bit in trapdoors, and then in the middle, let's do spruce slabs. I feel like part of the fun here is figuring out what kind of details we're going to add to each house to make them unique and also just look a lot better. Because right now this farmhouse is looking a little bit boring, but I know once all of the details are done, it's going to look so much cooler. Okay, that's our chimney added. Now let's just poke out a couple holes right here for our windows. And then I think I'm going to put the door... left or right? Left or right? I think I'm going to go right. So now that's done, let's add in some hay bales for extra details. Let's do a few of those over here, because after all, this is a farm. Then let's add some of these flower pots that look like little tiny barrels for extra details. Maybe another little one right here. Then let's do a little barrel of carrots. Then on this side, let's just add a bunch of barrels. Let's do a bunch facing this way, and then we'll do one of these little ones on top, and then a carrots one right here. I feel like maybe we need a couple more of these as well. Now let's add in our windows and our door, and that should be the exterior details done. That looks way better now, and all I really did was just add a bunch of hay bales and barrels. For the interiors, we obviously don't have a lot of space to work with, but I'm just going to put in a little bed as if we're going to have like a villager here, because obviously the villagers can't sleep in the fancy beds for some reason. Then we've got our little bedside table with a nice plant. Let's add another barrel right here with a lantern. Then we can use our leftover barrels to just fill in these gaps for extra storage for all of the crops. Let's use a couple of these leftover barrels too, and then I guess we could also use some of these. Oh, they kind of float, maybe not. We've still got a few trapdoors, so I'm going to put a couple of those down, and then we can place our pots on there. Let's do one of these smaller ones, and I think that's about as good as it's going to get for the interior here. But that is our little farmhouse done, and I'm getting shot at, so let's head to bed. Ellie, get in here, quick. Thank you, and good night. I started out by gathering more of my wood varieties until my tools started to run low. Once that happened, I headed underground for iron and coal. With that solved, I grabbed some diorite, stone, and deep slate before pilfering a lush cave for moss. Since I'm on such a house building roll, I think we can get right into the blacksmith's house, starting with the frame. Alright, I think that's pretty good for the frame. Now let's just dig out the floor so that we can add in a better floor than grass. So I'm going to fill this bit down here in with mostly stone bricks, and then add in a couple cracked stone bricks and some mossy stone bricks and mossy cobblestone. Then up here I'm just going to use the normal stone bricks and the cracked stone bricks. Then I'm just going to add a little row of these around the edge to sort of start off the walls. And then, bear with me. Now that's done, I'm going to add a mix of andesite and stone stairs for this part of the wall. And that is our frame and foundation sorted. I definitely think that once we finish the blacksmiths that I'm going to need a little break from houses, which is fine because I've been cooking up plans for a little town square. But first we've got to get the walls and the roof on this. I think I'm just going to leave this bit open for now, so let's get started on the roof. I don't want everything to look exactly the same, so for this roof, I'm switching it up and going with a couple deep slate variations. I feel like it's a nice contrast to the other builds, and the darker tone adds a bit of depth and moodiness to the area, plus it still ties in well with the rest of the palette. I feel like if we stuck with the pine and spruce palette for this roof, we'd be at risk of all the houses blending together way too much, and I feel like deep slate just fits the vibe of a blacksmith. Anyways, let's get this roof finished. right, looking good. I left this bit open because I still want it to be kind of outsidey, and then obviously this part here is where the actual house stuff is gonna go. But the sun is about to go down, so let's go do some preparations, then we can head out for some more materials tomorrow. I took a break from building to gather some flowers and more wood. I also picked up some coarse dirt while I was at it. Then I topped off my iron, coal, stone, and moss, snagging some andesite as well before heading back. Okay, so I'm just gonna power through doing these exteriors and interiors on the blacksmith. I kind of thought that taking a break to gather more resources would help, but I do think I'm gonna need a town square break after this. I've added an extra armor set just for the blacksmith vibes. Let's add in a window and a door. Then let's make this a sort of fenced entrance. And since this is a little bit of a tight squeeze, I think we should get rid of these blocks here and replace them with some stairs. For the interiors here, I'm gonna do a little workbench here with a cabinet, and then I guess we'll do another cabinet and then a grindstone. Or should I put the grindstone here? Let's do the grindstone here, and then let's do an axe in the middle, and let's add a couple lanterns on the ceiling. Now let's add some spruce strap doors, and then we can add in a barrel and a couple chests just to fill the area a little bit more. And then I guess we should put a lantern right here too, because it is still pretty dark under here. Millie, if you could move, that would be great. Thank you. I do have this cauldron with some lava, but I don't really know where to put it. I have a plan for out here, so I can't put it out there. Maybe I'll just replace this with the cauldron because the lava will give off light anyway, won't it? Yeah, okay, that works. Nice. So out here, I figured it would be kind of cute to have a couple quenching pools, and I know what you're thinking, they're usually not steaming, but I feel like when you would dip something in it, it would steam like that, so I'm just sort of adding a practical effect to it. But let's cover up those campfires with a slab so it's not so obviously a campfire. Then let's add in some of these stairs. Guys, it happened again! I literally tabbed out for 1 second, paused my recording, and then got blown up by a creeper. Luckily there's not too much damage. Okay, I fixed the area. I've got a few more stairs, and I think I said earlier that this is a quench pool, but I think the correct word for it is possibly slack pool. I don't know. Oh, I actually need this water. Oh, what is happening there? Have I accidentally made... I guess I have. Okay, I didn't expect that to just work for me like that, but it definitely works. All right, those are our pools finished. Alternatively, they could be little milli baths, I guess. But with that, that is also our blacksmith's finished. So I know this is technically still building, but it feels better because it's just flat. I only have 2 dimensions to worry about rather than 3. Although it does mean I have to dig out a lot of dirt to make this courtyard, which is fine. I could basically do this with my eyes closed. Okay, now that's all dug out, let's fill it back in. I'm using a little mix of normal and mossy stone varieties for the courtyard, hoping that the variation makes it feel less freshly built and a bit more worn in and old. That subtle weathered look always adds so much character to a build, and that's especially important for this medieval village vibe. Filling in large spaces like this is honestly pretty relaxing, though it's definitely more chilled out when it's all one block and I can just switch my brain off. With this, even though the block placement is random, I still have to be a bit mindful of what I'm placing and where, so it's got a little bit more thought behind the chaos. Alright, that is the base of our courtyard complete. Now I feel like it makes sense for this whole village to be centered around a well because, well, everyone in the village is going to need water, and where better to get it from than the village well? So let's finish off this platform and then build the well. I feel like I said well like 10 times right then. For the base of our well, let's just add in these 4 blocks of tuff and then join those up with some cobblestone stairs. Then on each corner, let's add in some cobblestone walls. Not there, but here. And now let's build up the sides and the roof. So I'm just going to build up here and then hopefully I can reach all of these posts from the middle. So let's just go up 3. Then let's join all of these up with pine slabs and raise the one in the middle. On these corners, I'm going to do spruce slabs, and then right up the middle, some more spruce slabs. Now in between each post, I'm going to do one of these. Oh, I actually don't really want that like that. I kind of want it to attach to the post. So maybe if I do that. Nope, that's still in the wrong place. I think Millie knocked me out of the way then. Okay, there we go. It creates like a bar right across, which I think looks way better. Okay, now let's add in our water. Then let's add a couple of chains and a plant pot to make it look like there's actually a water bucket, and then some lanterns because it's pretty dark under here. All right, that is actually super cute. I'm super happy with how that's turned out. Just gotta hope that Millie doesn't fall in the hole. I don't think she can with the bucket in the way, because I can't fall down the hole, and that looked like confirmation that Millie can't. Okay, good. So I looked at my list of things that I needed to do when I sat down to record today, and next thing up is church, and I do kind of want to procrastinate that as long as possible. So instead of doing the responsible thing, we are going to play with flowers and add a little garden to our courtyard today. Personally, I think it's very, very necessary that we add some plants and stuff because the courtyard's just looking a bit too grey and brown. We need some more colours in here. Now let's just finish digging out all 4 of these corners and filling them back in with coarse dirt. Then we can build a little wall around it and also plant the flowers. So for flowers, I'm going to add these in every corner. Actually, I'll do that afterwards. It seems silly to run around and do that right now. Let's add some of these right here, then do a row of daisies, and then we'll do daisy, daisy, and then these. Oh, that looks so cute. Okay, let's do that to all the other corners, and then we'll see what we can do next. So I was just going to continue these walls all the way around the flowers, but I feel like if I do it with these fences and palisades, it'll just break up all of the grey a little bit more. Okay, yeah, I actually really like how that's like all wood, and then it turns to the stone just for the corners here. So let's do the same on all the other ones, and then we can see what else we can do. I'm really procrastinating this church. All right, we are looking super, super cute now. I'm just gonna run around and add some extra posts to the posts so that we can add some lanterns. Oh, you know what? I kind of don't like that. Maybe we need to use fences. All right, let's try this with fences. I do feel like it's definitely gonna look better because it's looking a bit too chunky without fences. Okay, yeah, that looks a lot better. So let's add those to each of these corners. I'm gonna have to go make some more fences. Or not. Apparently I already had a bunch of fences in my pockets. I'm not gonna complain though, that's absolutely fine by me. Okay, those are all of our gardens actually finished now with the lanterns. Let's head to bed because the sun is starting to go down and oh my gosh, Millie, you look so sweet. But as I was saying, I think I have to build the church tomorrow, so I probably should get a very good night's sleep. In real life and in game. So as I was saying, I cannot procrastinate this church any longer. So today we're going to be tackling the frame and the foundation after we clear all of this dirt. Okay, the area is cleared, but I don't think we're going to have enough time for like a proper foundation. So I'm just going to get the frame done today, I think. Churches in medieval times functioned almost like community centers, which I actually find pretty cool. A lot of religious orders had like early social programs, like education, medical, and just general community help. So it makes sense that they were absolutely everywhere. Alright, that's one side of our posts up. Now we've really got to get a move on to get these other posts up because I also need to join them up in the middle. Let's do this here and then we'll do the same right here. Then let's build these up real quick. Take the ankle damage and we should be good very soon. Bear with me. Okay, let me eat because otherwise I'm gonna die doing this. And we are almost there with this. Just need to finish joining up all of these posts and I think we should be able to just get it done before the sun goes down. Though it is quite frustrating that I have to stop to get rid of these extra pieces because that does take extra time. Oh my gosh, I hate when the sun goes down below the horizon like that. It is very scary. All right, that's definitely not looking like much right now, but that is the frame for our church finished. So since this is a bit of a bigger build than our other ones, I think we're going to end up having to split the walls and the roof into 2 separate days, which is fine, but we should definitely get going on those walls. And by walls, I do literally mean wall blocks because I just want to make sure we have a bit of depth in this build because it's a lot of stony grey, so we definitely don't want it looking flat. I know I said I was going to split the days into 2, but I am just super quickly going to add these stair details to the roof parts. And let's also add some stairs to this front piece. And then over the top of all of the window areas here, I'm going to do slabs down here and then one up here. On second thoughts, I should have added the stairs second because now I have to keep placing a stair to be able to get over the little hump there. Can't just jump around the... Actually, to be fair, I probably could jump from here. Let's give it a go. Oh. Okay, that was actually pretty easy, but knowing me, I would mess it up. So I I think we definitely did it the safer way. All right, so far so good. Let's fill in these side pieces. So I'm gonna go all the way along the side here. Then we'll go another row actually. Then let's do 2. Then we're gonna have to build our way up so that we can fill in the rest of this. So let's do all the way along there. Then we'll come in to right here. And then all we need to do is join the bottom to the top. And now let's do the same to the other side. So 2 layers all the way across, 2 across. Then we're going up. 2 layers all the way across, and then 2 across, and then join the top to the bottom. Okay, nice. It's still not quite looking like a church, but you know what? Actually, it does. But once we get a roof on that thing, it's gonna look insane. All right, time to get this roof done. Let's go. I'm so excited. Actually, it's kind of bringing me back to that big cathedral that I did a while ago, and obviously this is a much smaller scale, but definitely the same vibes. Probably because a church and a cathedral are, you know, in the same realm, aren't they? Although, perhaps if you are interested in seeing a much larger build that is way more detailed than this, you should check out my cathedral video after you watch this video. Because although the cathedral was super difficult, it is one of my favorite builds so far. But we're not here to talk about past builds, we're here to talk about this build. And now I've said that, I can't think of anything to say about it. Let's just get this roof finished. Okay, that is our church with our walls and our roof completed. The sun is going down, so you know what that means. It's time to head to bed so we can get some more materials tomorrow. I started by tracking down everything I needed for various blue dyes and also snuck an extra few flowers in. Then I spent some time acquainting myself with the local sand. I topped off my stone, iron, and coal before heading back above ground to wrap up with collecting some wood. Okay, I definitely want to take my time a little bit with these extra details because since this is a community center, I feel like it needs to be super nice. So I'm just making a really big entryway right here. Let's fill those in. And of course we will add a door. But for now, let's run around and add our glass panes. I have these, Millie, please could you stop pushing me? As I was saying, I have these lovely stained glass panes from the chipped mod. And I just feel like they're quite a bit fancier than just normal stained glass and very much more obviously stained glass, if that makes sense. It is a little annoying though that there's a little gap up here. Maybe I could take out that extra piece and then just make it so that the glass goes all the way up. That's probably the move here. Let's just give that a go. I think we're going to be able to get away with it. Does that look weird? No, that definitely looks a lot better than just having a gap at the top, right? Or do I add in another one of them to make it one lower? 1 second. Let's grab one of those, put 2 of these back in. Does that look better than that? I don't think it does. Does it? Oh my gosh, I'm so torn. I think since it's meant to be a church, it's meant to be more grand and I prefer it with the taller windows. So I'm going to run around and just pop out the top of each area here and then replace it with a stained glass pillar. I am going to put stained glass here too, but I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with that. So I'm just going to finish filling these in first because that obviously makes the most sense. Oh, my dog has seen a cat. All right, that's all those side bits filled in. And I think for these ones, I am just going to give it a go at filling these in with the paints that I have instead of making them into different ones because I think it's actually gonna work. Oh my gosh, that's so difficult to do whilst jumping. Okay, we're into the easy bit now, she says as she makes a mistake. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that I feel like looks pretty good. Let's get rid of our extra bits. What I love about these modded panes is that you just can break them willy-nilly and it really doesn't matter because they don't fully break like normal glass. Okay, yeah, that looks really cute actually. Let's do the same to the other side and then we've also got a couple big windows to fill up here. Why can't I reach? I was tall enough on the other side. Thank you. Minecraft just tried calling me short. I can't believe it. All right, I know I said I wanted to take my time with this, but I actually do need to get a little bit of a move on because I do have a time limit. I'm just gonna add in these pillar trims on each side of the church, which I've been doing much more recently. What was I trying to say there? More frequently. I've been doing this much more frequently. I've been using pillar trims for pillars. Do I want to add extra pillar design things to these? Yeah, probably. Why not? We have them, let's use them. Now let's run around and add a bunch of rose bushes. I absolutely love roses. Roses are my favorite flower for sure. Mostly because I love Beauty and the Beast, but also just because they are stunning. And I love that in Minecraft, or at least with this mod, they just sort of, there's like loads of different ones. It's super, super cute. I did take one out of this corner, but I feel like I need to put it back. I'm not sure which mod actually makes them plant like this. I think it may just be the Stay True texture pack or one of those things, but I don't know. I love it either way. Okay, so since we have these stair details, I'm gonna have to put the panes here, but I've also put these trapdoor details in here because I wasn't entirely sure what I was gonna do with the space here, but now I'm just gonna get rid of all of these. Wait, no, I don't even have to do that. What am I doing? I just need to get rid of the ones that are in the way. So that's just a single row of them. Okay, that was close. I almost wasted a lot of time. Okay, easy peasy. Then let's just get rid of these and these. Then let's fill in these gaps. Then let's put these pieces back in that we took away. And then let's get rid of this dirt and then place some trapdoors underneath the glass so it doesn't look weird from the bottom. So now it is interior time, and I feel like church interiors might be some of my favorites of all time because, I don't know, there's just such a good vibe to them. And if you're wondering why I just randomly put 2 lanterns here, it's because I want to cover them over with these carpets so that there's just a good source of light on the ground here, if it would let me place them. I guess I could just do it like this. I already added these really, really gorgeous chandeliers, but they just don't do a lot down here, so that's what I've got to do. But let's just finish placing all of this carpet all the way up the aisle. Let's also put it back here, and then let's fill this in here. Okay, that's looking super duper cute. I also have some of these candles, which obviously fit the vibe really, really well. So I'm just going to add in a bunch of those. I feel like it might look cute to have the pillar trim come all the way down and sort of meet those. Also, does that look good? Yeah, I don't hate that. I actually think it looks a lot better than this side. So let's do the same on this side. And let's also put a couple of these up here. And I'm just going to add these little cabinets at the back with a few candles. And I guess these could kind of be like prayer candles or whatever they're called in churches. Then let's make this back corner look a bit prettier with just a few flower pots. Of course, not forgetting to actually put flowers in them. That would be a good idea. Then let's light all of our candles before we forget that. And let's also add a couple cabinets up here with a couple candles on just to fill the space. All right, we are looking really, really nice in here. The only thing that we're missing now is the pews. So let's just do a bunch of benches because that's the closest thing I have. Excuse me, Millie. I would like to place this bench down. Maybe I'll just nudge her out the way. Okay, that didn't work. Millie, please move. Thank you. Then we could squeeze another one in here. Easy peasy. And I think it's safe to say that that is our church interiors finished. I really, really love with these stained glass panels that when the sun comes through them, that they do this. It is absolutely stunning. Honestly, I feel really bad about procrastinating this now because it looks amazing. But we're now done with the build. The sun is going down, so let's head to bed. Oh my goodness, I was about to go to bed, but I think I just saw a dog. Oh, I did. Oh my gosh, hello. Oh, I already have a little pet, you see. But so unfortunately you can't be my pet, but you are very welcome to stay here if you really want to. Oh my gosh, that is the cutest thing ever. Should I keep it? No, I can't keep it. Should I keep it? I have some bones. I could keep it. Okay, I'm gonna give it a go. See if he's interested in being my dog. Oh, it doesn't seem like it. Wait, do they even eat bones? What's going on right now? Is he just stuck in the thing? Oh, there we go. Oh, immediately. Okay, well, now I feel bad because I already have one thing following me around. I don't know if I want another thing following me around. Maybe I'll get him to come over here and sit outside the farm. I feel like that would look really cute. Come here. Oh, you're so sweet. No, come here. Come here. Come here. I guess let's sit him down first and then we'll push him over into the corner. I feel really bad that he's just becoming a decoration. Oh, and a zombie is coming. Let me get rid of that. Okay, cute. We'll keep him there and call him Georgie after my real life dog, George. Okay, so now I think we're going to build some much smaller houses that are just places for other people to live because it's not much of a village if it's just me that lives here. Although it is still going to be just me that lives here, but you know, in theory, other people could live here if anyone else was here. Anyways, okay, that's our outline done. Let's build up these walls. So I'm just gonna keep with this whole mix match of the cobblestone bricks and just normal cobblestone. How many did I just build up? I've forgotten. Okay, I need to go up one more. All right, that's that side done. Now let's build this side up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 5? I'm pretty sure it was 5. I confused myself by switching out the these bricks for these bricks, which are the same bricks, just a different stack. I feel so bad that Georgie's just sat there. Where is Millie, actually? Haven't seen her for a while. Well, actually, it's only been one night, but still, she's usually all up in my business. Oh, there she is. Okay, I don't see her, but I heard her. She did a little sniff right then. She's nearby. And now I need to work relatively quickly. I need to work relatively quickly to get the roof on this thing because we're running out of time. Sun is going down. Okay, it is officially nighttime and we are almost there. Sorry, I wasn't gonna cry then. That probably sounded like I was going. I just apparently choked on my words. Anyways, we're almost there and we should be absolutely fine. And just like that, we have a really cute little residential house. It's not completely done yet. I need to go out and get some more materials, but it's looking pretty cute for now. I grabbed some iron and coal for future tool fixing, then set about refilling my stone, diorite, andesite, and deep slate supplies. Once that was done, I gathered more wood, picking up some ferns along the way. All right, we are back and ready to add some details to this little house. And just because it's little doesn't mean that we don't need some cute little details inside and outside. Okay, that's our little flower beds done. Now let's add in some extra fence details up here. I want to get rid of that one because I've placed that in the wrong place. Just to add a little bit of wood tones up here too, because it is looking very, very stony. Now let's add a hanging sign here and here for pretty much no reason other than it just looking like there's more going on. And let's plant a few ferns around here and then we'll add some watering can magic and turn them into large ferns. Oh, I ran out of water. Luckily we're by the farm where there are a few water holes. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's our exterior details done. Now let's get inside and add a floor because right now we just have a big hole in the ground. So for the interiors, I'm gonna have this little room here as the bedroom, a little cabinet right here, and then we'll do a couple... Yeah, I think that works. I was thinking maybe I need to go all the way across, but that kind of looks strange because it touches the bedside table. So maybe we'll just leave that like that. Now let's surround the bed with some of this canvas rug and then we'll put a little plant in this corner. Should we go one tall or two tall? I think the one works. Then let's do a lantern right here and then a double candle here. Just because when you're sleeping, you know, you can just easily blow the candle out so that your house doesn't burn down. And I think we should probably close this wall up a little bit and add maybe a double doorway. Then since the doors look pretty flat, let's just add a couple flower boxes to make it look like the door is like, you know what I mean. And in this room, I've gone for a little tiny kitchen and a little tiny living room. And for the small price of £5,000 a month, you too could own this studio apartment. All right, I think I'm gonna do one more of these cute little residential houses. And by cute little residential houses, I mean big. I'm gonna make a much bigger house for this one. Or maybe not much bigger, but I'm just gonna do at least 2 floors. That's what I mean. So with that being said, we better get a move on because we only have one day to do this. All right, that's our outline done. Let's get these walls in. We do not have any time to waste, but I am wasting a little bit of time by having to switch between these 2 types of andesite wall. All right, now the walls are done, let's build up the frame for our second floor. And to finish off this frame, we're gonna join all of these up with some upside down stairs, as if the last one I place is not upside down. Thought I was finally done. Okay, now we're done. All right, I'm just finishing up the outline for the roof here, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to make it. The sun is still fairly high in the sky for the amount of work that we have left to do, so I'm feeling pretty hopeful. And to be honest, since all that's left to do is add in... One second, I need to use my brain. And since the only thing we need to do now is add in the roof and the floor, we should be pretty safe even if the sun does go fully down. Oh. Oh no, wait. What are we doing here? A stair. Okay, there we go. Sometimes it's so hard to talk and build at the same time. All right, that's the hard part done. Now we just need to connect up all of these outlines. So let's just run along like this. I probably should have not made all of my deep slate into slabs because it's going to take twice as long to do those parts, but it's absolutely fine. I don't mind. And so I worked well into the night to get the roof of our second residential home finished. Just me, the moonlight, and a whole lot of stairs, blocks, and slabs. And a few scary guys, but luckily they couldn't reach me up there. I headed out once again to collect more stone, andesite, and some tuff. While I was underground, I restocked my iron and coal. Back above ground, I gathered wool and supplies for red and white dyes, while also refilling the usual suspects like wood, leaves, and flowers. Alright, time to add some cute little details to our cottage, and I'm going to start by adding in a little awning out here, and then adding in some red and white carpet on top of the stairs. I wish I knew exactly which mod this came from. It is literally so cool and super helpful, but unfortunately I just don't know and don't remember. I've definitely looked it up before, but unfortunately not a clue. Alright, that's the awning done. Now let's add in some barrels for some extra details under here. And then I have these little tiny plant pots that also look like little barrels. And I think we'll do another barrel here, then a big one and a little one. Okay, cute. What are you doing in my house? Not my house, but my future resident's house. Now let's add some posts in the front here so that that doesn't look like it's floating. Then let's get up here and add in some signs all the way along here just for some extra details. And I'm also going to punch out a couple holes right here for windows. Ah, my goodness, that is not what I wanted to do. I love how I just did like a half scream right then. Just a little I don't know why I do that so often. Okay, let's add in these and apparently get pushed off of our little stack of dirt here. And then cut out a little hole here for a window. And then let's get to work on adding in some roses. And just like that, that is the exterior details of our house completed. Now let's get inside and see what we can do with the interiors. This guy is still hanging out in here. Okay, I kind of added the floor for the second floor from the bottom, so I'm now realizing that this is a little bit of a low ceiling. So I'm gonna take out all of these pieces right here so that we have a little bit more room to breathe. It's feeling very claustrophobic. All right, I've kept the interiors really simple for this. We have a tiny kitchen, a little living room, and then upstairs we have our bedroom, which I guess I put a little bit more stuff in, and a little desk over here with some books, and yeah. I figured I didn't need to add too much because, you know, when somebody moves in, they'll have a bunch of their own furniture they want to add, so this is just temporary, kind of just like the show home, I guess, because, you know, people are definitely coming to live with me in my lovely village. Definitely not just here all on my own. As always. I spent the next couple of days working on building a wall around the village since historically a lot of towns and cities were walled off for protection. I also made sure to include a gate because back in the day, city gates were really important, not just for security, but as centers of trade and communication. People would gather at the gates to exchange goods, share ideas, and even post public notices. So overall, they were kind of a big deal and felt absolutely essential to include in this build just to make it feel more authentic. Okay, actually, how adorable is that little gateway? I absolutely love that. That is wicked. Okay, that is our gate done. We have the wall all the way around the outside. Now, what do we do next? So we have a lot of buildings, but not really enough streets connecting them. So let's fix that and add some paths. Everything's already pretty close together, so we don't need to go too crazy. Just a little mix of rough and coarse dirt to pave the way and give it that I've been walked on before kind of look. It's a simple touch, but it does really help the village feel more lived in and connected. All right, now our paths are filled in. We can add in some leaves around the edge just to make it feel a little bit fancier. Okay, now that the paths are done, it's probably a good time to add some lighting. Just a few simple street lamps to give the courtyard a nice warm glow, nothing too fancy, just enough to make it feel welcoming and keep the area from falling into total darkness once the sun goes down, because we all know what happens then. I do love adding the lighting details though, because they often make the biggest difference. Okay, so I may have taken warm glow a little bit seriously because now we have so many lanterns, but it does mean that nothing scary is going to be spawning on us, or at least I hope with this many lanterns that's the case. Okay, I've broken final details up in kind of an odd way in the sense that I'm going to be doing it split into 2 days. This first day, I'm planning on adding little carts, barrels around the place, just stuff like that, bigger details. And then tomorrow, the second day, I'm going to focus on the little stuff. All right, that's one wagon down. Now let's just add another one right here. Let's do the oak trapdoors for the wheels, and then some barrels and trapdoors, and finally some fences. And I'm just going to finish up this day by adding in some more of these barrels as clutter just underneath my house. And finally, here we are. We can sweat the little things. And by little things, I mean planting some of these apple trees, which actually grow to be pretty huge. And as lovely as this looks, it does look a little bit empty. So I'm just going to plant a couple oak trees out the front here, and then I'll bone meal them, and hopefully that should be us done because that sun is going down. And I think it is pretty safe to say that we are done here. As the sun rose above the village walls, the sleepy village began to wake up, and Millie and I knew that we had achieved our goal. Walking along the well-worn streets, past businesses, houses, and farms, I was proud of the little village that we had created. My name is Em, this is Millie, and you have all been amazing. Thank you so much for watching, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one.